everyone. I'm Darcy Shiber-Knowles, and I'm with Dr. Bronners. I want to thank Zero Waste San Diego for having me and for convening this conversation today. It's a privilege to be here. Dr. Bronners is a family-owned, family-run manufacturing company based here in San Diego County, and we are a near zero waste manufacturing entity. We're not quite there, but as we have engaged in this zero waste journey as a manufacturing operation, one of the main takeaways for me has been that zero waste is as much about your people as it is about your materials and your waste streams. So I'm excited to be able to share with you one aspect of our people approach to how we do business as part of this conversation around the bottom line, the triple bottom line. Dr. Bronners is a business, and we have one bottom line because profit is the engine that makes everything else possible, but we are absolutely a social enterprise, and people are at the heart of that. So excited to share a little bit about that with you today. This is what I'm going to talk about for the next 15 minutes. Who is Dr. Bronners? I'm going to give you an overview of fair trade because this is at the heart of who we are as an enterprise, and it's something that any consumer and any business person and any government agency representative needs to understand in today's world as we think about a circular economy, as we think about a connected world. So I didn't understand fair trade until I came to work for Dr. Bronners. I sort of thought about it like I thought about recycling before I got into a sustainability career. It's good, but that's all I knew. So I'm going to share with you some of the details of fair trade so that you too can understand that. And then I'll talk about how fair trade serves our bottom line as a business, why we do it. It does cost more, but we reap the benefits, and I'll show you that. So who is Dr. Bronners? As I mentioned, we are a family-run, family-owned business. The kooky-looking guy on your left is Dr. Bronner himself, Emanuel Bronner. He was a third-generation German-Jewish soap maker, and he fled Germany in the 1930s and came to make soap in the U.S., tried to get his family to follow, and they stayed. When the family business was stolen by the Nazis and his parents were killed in the Holocaust, he had kind of a moral awakening about our transcendent unity as a human race and with the planet. And he believed and began writing and speaking about the fact that if we do not realize this transcendent unity, that we are actually all one, we will destroy each other and the planet. So he started giving these talks. He gave away soap to get people to come to the talks, realized people were coming for the soap and not staying for the talks, so he put it on the label. And to this day, his moral ABC is on all of our labels. And we, to this day, use the soap as a means of advancing this all-one mission in the world. It's kind of crazy, but we're a soap company that's about unity and world peace and regenerative agriculture and the world we want to live in. Soap is just a means to that end. The fabulous family that you see on the right, that's the family that runs the company today. David and Mike Bronner are Dr. Bronner's grandsons. Trudy Bronner is their mother, and Michael Milam is our COO, and he's their brother-in-law. So it really is, it's a family company, it's about relationship, and it's about unity today. These are some of our sales numbers. We just got 2016, we closed out the books, so that's not reflected here, but you can see from 2011, 42.3 million, 2015, all the way, that upward trajectory, 95.7 million, and in 2016, we brought in 109 million. So the takeaway here, well, and again, about 75% of that revenue is domestic, and the rest is distributed across about 25 different countries in the world. The take home here is being organic, being fair trade is a profitable and growing way to do business. We started with peppermint liquid soap, that's the one on the top left there, and now we have about 17 different product lines with over 20 different fragrances, and we, as I mentioned, distribute in about 25 different countries around the world. But we have tried to grow sustainably in the last 75 years. Our growth has been the most impressive, I would say, in the last 5 years, or I'm sorry, in the last 10 years in particular, where you saw the growth on the last slide there. Our biggest limitation to growth, actually, has been our raw materials. And that is because we source organic and fair trade for all of our core raw materials that make our products. So this is a map that shows you where our primary supplies come from. The projects that are highlighted in blue, these are vertically integrated sister companies that Dr. Bronner set up when we looked around the world and we said, you know what, based on our sales projections, there's not enough organic fair trade coconut oil available for us to continue to meet consumer demand. And the more soap we sell, the better off the world, really. And so we've got to do something about this. So we invested in projects where there weren't any and built them to the point where they're independent, standing on their own 2 feet, and they have other customers because that's a really viable market for fair trade. So what is fair trade? Fair trade is a third-party certification. There are about a dozen different fair trade certifiers in the world. And so they independently audit suppliers and companies that market their fair trade materials. This is a commercial invoice template from Sarandapal, which is our coconut oil sister company in Sri Lanka. I wanted to show this to you because there's a line on here. It's probably difficult to see from where you're seated, but there's a line beneath the row that has the quantity, and it says, this includes a fair trade premium of. So it is a separate call out. So you've got your conventional pay price. Let's call it $1 per pound for coconut oil. Then you have the organic price because it costs more typically to buy organic, even commodities. So say that's $2 per pound. Then there's fair trade, which let's call it $3 because it turns out it costs more to not exploit people. And in developing economies, folks who work at a certified fair trade facility are paid fair wages, they have safe working conditions, and those protections are audited by the third-party certifier. But on top of that $3 per pound pay price for the raw material itself, there's something called the fair trade premium, which as you can see is tracked on every invoice and is accounted for and audited. What does that premium do? Where does that premium go? That premium goes into a fund that is democratically administered by community members in the place where that raw material comes from. So Dr. Bronner's doesn't have any say. Any customer of fair trade certified material, once you pay your premium, it goes to the community. But that fund is audited by the third-party certifier as well. So at Sarandapal, these 4 pictures are fair trade projects that have been paid for by the premium that Dr. Bronner's and other customers of this fair trade coconut oil have paid. So you've got a well there that's next to a maternity ward. You've got a road that's now paved. You've got a bridge that connects a community to a main artery that saves the people that live in that rural community 20 kilometers to get to the main artery. And you've got a school with separate bathrooms for boys and girls. These are just 4 projects that are paid for out of the premium. And Dr. Bronner, since 2005, when we set up Sarandapal, has paid, I think the number is over $5.6 million in premium alone. And that's just to Sarandapal, and Sarandapal has other customers. So fair trade is this absolutely incredible model of diverting or redistributing developed world wealth to places that have been exploited for many, many centuries. And the reason we do this is the people side to being an organic company. The people side. Because organic is, we know it's healthier and it's healthier for workers, but it doesn't do anything for their wages or their working conditions directly. So fair trade does. We also pay attention to labor conditions in the US. We have some pretty radical policies at Dr. Bronner's ourselves, and I'll share that in a minute. But we also partner with a few key nonprofits here in the US to raise the federal minimum wage. This was a big campaign that we worked on in 2016. We partnered with 50 other consumer products brands to educate the public about the battle to raise the minimum wage at the state level and at the federal level. We redesigned our labels in the spirit of Dr. Bronner to talk about fair wages and raising the minimum wage. We partnered with Fair World Project, which is a watchdog for fair trade organizations, the Fairness Project, Business for a Fair Minimum Wage, and the Domestic Fair Trade Association, which looks at farm workers' rights here in the US. Because fair trade is specifically about developing countries. These two women work on our hand-fill production line. That's Abigail and Leticia. They've been with the company for 3 years and 10 years, respectively. And I wanted to share this photo because Dr. Bronner cares about our people in ways that I think are unique, or at least rare, in manufacturing in the U.S. We have almost no turnover, and that's because of how we treat each other and the culture of the company. Again, people-focused. This is about relationship. This is about our connection to one another, even in the factory. So we've got a 5-to-1 compensation cap where the owners who inherited the company from their grandfather don't make more than 5 times what the lowest paid employee makes. And the lowest paid employee, after our cost of living adjustment for 2017, makes $17.49, plus a 25% bonus at the end of the year, as long as there aren't performance issues, plus profit sharing of up to 15%, plus 100% paid health insurance, as long as they stay within network, which is a Cigna PPO. We've also got a casual culture, and we have one shift for manufacturing, and there are other perks, but the bottom line is we're a family company that tries to treat employees like family, and so that's at our factory in Vista as well as throughout our supply system. These women are working on the line at Sarandapal, our coconut oil facility, and this to me is an operation that is a ray of hope in a world like we are in today. Sarandapal employs 275 workers at their factory and receives coconuts from 1,200 farmers in the Coconut Triangle region of Sri Lanka. They are the reason that they are part of the reason that our quality is so high, and our quality is what drives our profitability. We don't have a triple bottom line. We have a single bottom line. It's a profit that makes the engine possible. By the time you buy a bottle of Dr. Bronner's soap, all of the impact has already happened. And all you're doing is making sure that we can keep doing it. Because our commitment to being sustainable and our commitment to the world is baked into our costs of goods sold. It's organic, it's fair trade, it's 100% post-consumer recycled plastic bottles, it's our policies and our pay structure for our people. So that's all COGS. That's not a separate line item that's philanthropy at the end. We also do that. In 2016, I think we gave away 7% of our revenue to 501c3s. But that's extra, that's after. That's the nice to have. So I want to encourage you to, as consumers, choose fair trade, because it's about the people throughout our supply chain. And yes, it costs more, and it costs more on purpose. And we are profiting as a business, Dr. Bronner's is, in part because of the connection that we have to all of the people throughout our supply chain, in our factory in Vista, and in the regions where the raw materials come from. We're not zero waste yet. We have our dumpster dive next week, where we'll dig a little bit, literally, into our waste streams and get a better picture how we're doing. We've been tracking our progress over time, working with EDCO and working with our recycling broker. We're now revenue positive as a waste stream, and that is about our people, our relationships in the factory, all of the waste capture mechanisms that we've set up to get us closer to zero waste were ideas that came from the production floor. And then the relationships that we've made with recyclable material brokers in the region have enabled us to become revenue positive. So we're going to dig next week. It's a really fun team building activity. And again, that's about people. So please, as consumers, choose fair trade. And if Dr. Bronner's can be helpful to you in your effort to learn more about fair trade or to engage in the fair trade marketplace or the fair trade movement, please reach out. I would be thrilled to talk with you. Thank you.